Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the singing of the first verse of the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. The President of the University.
Mr. Vice Rector and incoming Rector, members of the Board of Visitors, ladies and gentlemen, and especially you graduates of the class of 2017. Welcome to this ceremony that marks the end of the 188th academic session. These exercises are the university's most joyful occasion when we gather to award degrees and celebrate the achievements of the graduating class. I want to recognize two special guests who have been among us this weekend. Juan Manuel Santos, the President of the Republic of Colombia, and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the President of the Republic of Liberia. President Santos' President Santos' son, Esteban, is graduating from the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy. And President Sirleaf's granddaughter, Janelle Sirleaf, is graduating from the Darden School. President Santos and President Sirleaf share a remarkable distinction. Both of them are winners of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2016 and 2011, respectively. It has been a great honor to have these distinguished guests with us. Today, we are conferring degrees on graduates from 10 of the university schools and the Data Science Institute. Yesterday, we conferred degrees on graduates from the College and Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. As we begin, I would like to recognize one member of the UVA leadership team stepping down from his position this year. Don Brown, founding director of UVA's Data Science Institute, will continue serving on the faculty as Philip Bourne assumes the position of Institute Director this spring. Don has built a strong foundation for the Institute, and we are grateful for his leadership. Thank you, Don. As we gather for a celebration, we also do so with great concern for one member of our graduating class who is not here. Otto Warmbier, a fourth-year student in the McIntyre School of Commerce, has been imprisoned in North Korea for nearly 17 months. During this time, he has not been permitted to communicate with his family, nor with any representative of the U.S. government. We continue to hold Otto and his family in our thoughts and prayers, and I know those of you who were his classmates miss his presence. I should also note that we are celebrating this weekend's final exercises without some of our graduates who are athletes. The men's tennis team is playing in the NCAA semifinals, and we wish them luck. Our music today is provided by the 392nd Army Band from Fort Lee, Virginia, under the direction of Chief Warrant Officer II Kevin L. Pick. Please join me in a round of applause for the Army Band. I also wish to recognize the Army, Navy, and Air Force ROTC students who presented the colors, and mention that on Friday, we commissioned second lieutenants in the U.S. Army, the U.S. Marines, the U.S. Air Force, and ensigns in the U.S. Navy. Thank you to all of them. Today's celebration recognizes the efforts of entire families as well as the students. For parents whose sons and daughters receive degrees today, we acknowledge that your commitments began long before your students came to study here. Our admiration extends to the step-parents, foster parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and all the other family members who supported and encouraged these men and women in their academic careers. We also recognize the spouses and children of some of our students who made sacrifices and offered encouragement to make this day possible. Students, would you join me in applause for your family members? These final exercises celebrate the contributions of our teaching, research, and support faculty, and the staff members who work in many different occupations across the grounds. Each diploma symbolizes the vitality of our faculty's endeavors, their passion for learning, their efforts to engage others in intellectual discourse, their ability to inspire the pursuit of knowledge, Staff members provide critical support for the academic enterprise. Students, I hope you will join me in a round of applause for the faculty and staff who guided and supported your learning here. But of course, the greatest accomplishment belongs to those of you who take your degrees today. You committed yourself to values that define the university: academic excellence, honor, service, inclusion, leadership, and accountability for yourself and for your peers. You have lived what you have learned. The knowledge and habits of mind you have acquired here will become tools for leadership in the world to which you go. I will be back for another portion of this ceremony later.
Rector of the university.
What a remarkably beautiful and inspiring sight this is. This is a day of great joy, great emotion, and on this day, no rain and no sun. So welcome and enjoy. I have the distinct privilege of welcoming all of you to the 188th Commencement Exercises. And believe me, it is a day that we look forward to for all that it represents for you and their parents. To our graduates, let me offer our collective congratulations and admiration, and say that throughout the year we look forward to this day with great anticipation, for we recognize the culmination of your achievements that this day represents, the genuine appreciation for all who have devotedly contributed to your arrival to this day, the boundless hope for you as you venture forth as this day ends, and the endless optimism for the many contributions you will make to improve the human condition from this day forward. We are thankful for your decision to attend this university in the first place, for you have contributed mightily to its uniqueness since 3 presidents of this country laid our cornerstone 200 years ago. Ask yourself, why, of all the great institutions of higher learning in this and other countries, that you chose, or fate chose for you, this university? As we enter our 3rd century, we as a university have given much thought to the related question of what our purpose as an institution should be. The answers to these 2 questions are intimately intertwined. We have determined that the bold ambitions that our founders envisioned for this university remain ever present. We have determined that we will continue to realize those ambitions by every day becoming a better version of ourselves rather than a better version of another institution. We have determined that we need to re-embrace these ambitions as we enter our 3rd century, not just for ourselves, but for our country and the world community. We have so concluded because we are unique. This is not to say that we are better than other universities or that our obligations are exclusive to us. But it is to say that from our beginning, we have sought to achieve excellence for a designed purpose. Our founding and our history link our purpose to the fate of this country, this democracy, this republic, and to advancing the great unfinished business of democracy, both nationally and globally. We seek to advance democracy in this next century as we have in our first two, by educating citizen leaders in every field to ensure that the progress of this country continues to bend the arc of history towards justice and equality. This has been and continues to be our calling and our inspirational force. And as a result of your years on these grounds, it has become your calling as well. Throughout our history, many have spoken of this calling, perhaps none more eloquently than our distinguished alumnus, Justice John Charles Thomas, who 25 years ago shared with those assembled here a beautiful portrait of what our founders envisioned for us as members of this community. As Justice Thomas observed, "For you see, our nation is at a defining moment in its history. It cannot return to the ways of the past. It cannot continue with the ways of the present. This nation must become a more perfect union. And you, all of you who we honor here today, hold the key to what we shall be." This is a message of hope because you are part of a plan that Jefferson himself had the foresight to put into place for such a time as this. If you doubt what I am saying about your being part of a plan, then you do not yet fully appreciate that by studying at this university, by taking a degree from this university, you have taken upon yourself a very special role in the well-being of America. I do not mean to suggest that the nation does not need this effort of all of its citizens, but I tell you that if anyone is meant to be the vanguard of hope for America, it is those who have walked this lawn, those who have studied at this university. You see, I mean it when I tell you that I know with special certainty that you're not just another graduating class from just another university. You are part of a plan and parcel of a plan, centuries in the making, to save our nation in times of urgent need. Whether your field of study is medicine, law, graduate business, whatever your graduation degree, I tell you that just as Jefferson was part of the formation of America, all of you here must be part of the reformation of America. You must reform decaying cities, reform the healthcare delivery system, reform the teaching of science, reform the importance of education in this country. Whatever your specialty, you have a role to play in reforming America. Our time has taught us, all of us, that Justice Thomas's timeless calling for the class of 1992 is forever relevant to all graduating classes at this university. We acknowledge that this calling is a demanding obligation, and perhaps one better left to a day that is not dedicated to celebrating your current accomplishments. But know that your whole life has prepared you for this calling. You are ready, regardless of the future focus of your energy and efforts. Remember, you chose this university for a reason that becomes even clearer as you venture forth in the world. Remember, too, that in every walk of life there is a means to reforming this country. It is just not the responsibility of those in formal public service or that only momentous occasions provide the opportunity to contribute meaningfully. You have been taught that each day provides opportunities for service to your fellow man and woman. And it is more often the small actions of everyday life that are the most compelling and sustaining. As we adhere to the truth when there is pressure to do otherwise, summon the courage to speak up when it is more comfortable to remain silent, right or wrong, even if at personal cost, support the least in our society, though it may be inconvenient, and recognize there is a greater purpose in all endeavors than merely satisfying our own self-interest. So today we walk the lawn to celebrate you and all that you have accomplished and all that you shall accomplish. We walk the lawn to symbolize the calling that we who comprise this university community all share. We walk the lawn because your country and the world are calling you. Go forth from this day with the knowledge that your days at this university were not designed simply for the purpose of starting you on the path to mastering excellence in one field or another, but rather for a greater purpose of applying your knowledge, your skills, and your heart for the betterment of this world. On behalf of our faculty, our staff, our president, and our visitors, I congratulate you. I thank you for your contributions to this community. I wish you well as you move on from this chapter of your lives, and I look forward to the many contributions you will make to the advancement of the human condition, and with confidence that throughout your life, the hopeful challenge of our Rita Dove and her poem, The Testimonial, remains your compass. The world called, and I answered. Godspeed to you and to your families. Now I have the great pleasure of introducing our speaker, an alumnus of the University of Connecticut and the University of Minnesota. Bob Piantas is a Novartis U.S. Foundation Professor of Education, a Professor of Psychology, and the founding director of the Center for Advanced Study of Teaching and Learning, as well as the Dean of the Curry School of Education. He has authored more than 300 articles, 50 chapters, and 10 books, and has led research and training grants totaling over $60 million. In the latest U.S. News and World Report rankings, the University of Virginia Curry School of Education was ranked 18th, breaking into the top 20 for the first time in more than 2 decades. The rankings named the top graduate schools across the United States, climbing 3 spots from last year. The 2018 rankings put the Curry School among the top 10 U.S. public schools of education. In just the last year, Dean Piana's research and leadership in education has been featured in the New York Times, the Washington Post, USA Today, Education Week, EdSurge, and many other major publications. In 2016 and 2017, Dean Piana was named to the EduScholar Public Influence Rankings, which recognizes the 200 faculty members at U.S. universities who contribute most substantially to public debates about education. He received the University of Minnesota Outstanding Achievement Award in December 2016, and more importantly, ran the Twin Cities Marathon during the same visit. To list all of his accomplishment would take days, as Dean Piana continues to surpass, exceed, and excel. And on a personal note, he's one of the wonderful people of this university community. We're fortunate to have him leading the Curry School. Please join me in welcoming our special speaker, Dean Robert Pianta.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Rector, for that generous introduction. Members of the Board of Visitors, President Sullivan, Vice Presidents and Deans, distinguished guests, faculty, students, family, and friends, it is my honor to offer remarks today, and I'm humbled to share this podium with the weekend's other distinguished speakers. Congratulations, graduates. Today, for me, prompts 2 memories. 30 springs ago, I was winding up my faculty interview when my wife Ann and I toured grounds. It was one of those stunning spring mornings. As we walked up the steps on the far corner, I saw the lawn for the first time. There was this tranquil beauty and power of a place so long dedicated to human progress, learning, and ideas, and the past embodied in physical space and buildings, connected with the present. The thread was this commitment to the power of education in human lives and society. As I suspect was the case for many of you, I was all in. More recent lawn memories come from a decade ago, sitting in front of the rotunda on a late August Sunday, the buildings reflecting the early evening colors. We faced the newly arrived first years, some of you were probably there, for opening convocation and the honor pledge, an event brimming with pride and anticipation. An experience yoked to the occasion that spring of walking the lawn in this direction on another sun-splashed May morning, when taking care not to trip while walking up these steps, I turned and for the very first time faced those assembled for graduation. It was a remarkable moment, a collective, communal instantiation of the work of a great university. I suspect we each entered this place feeling a mixture of pride, uncertainty, excitement, and curiosity. For me, those feelings have morphed into a deep appreciation and respect for your aspirations as students and our opportunity as faculty. Thank you for your choice to participate in the collective, dynamic transformation that is this university, for joining in our journey from that end of the lawn to this end. Today we celebrate our unique work together. Although universities are often rightly criticized as static, courses and programs repeat year after year, every single person assembled here today moved through this university together only once. A dynamic community of the possible, balanced by the gravitational pull of place. A yin and yang of history and potential, making this commencement unique. So congratulations, graduates, and my deepest appreciation to parents, grandparents, spouses, partners, families, and friends for your role in making today possible. The arc of this moment originated long ago, and you bear much responsibility for the successes we celebrate today. Similarly, I am humbled to stand here as a grandson and great-grandson of immigrants, launched by risks they took, by their hard work, and their instilling in my parents a set of values and aims for my generation. And as a dad of two Wahoos and a Hokie, I have witnessed the formative role this institution plays across generations. Today we celebrate graduations from the university's 10 professional schools and institutes, a notable share of the University of Virginia's impact on the world. We publicly certify your commitments to and success in preparation in a range of fields, each engaging the world in a particular and practical manner, to act on the world towards certain ends. We celebrate your promise and potential to solve big challenges. So I actually Googled profession, and what appeared first was, quote, a specified activity and one's main paid occupation rather than a pastime. Not a very inspirational way to start a graduation speech. So next up was Merriam-Webster, who was, of course, much more high-minded than Google, and gives us this: an act of declaring or publicly claiming a belief or opinion, a calling, or engagement requiring specialized knowledge and often long and intensive academic employment. Notice the emphasis on a calling and declaration, some claim of identity, an engagement, form of action, and training and apprenticeship, learning that culminates in qualification. So let's now reflect on three questions. What drew you to your education? What forms of learning are key to your successes? And what will guide your path toward leadership in the years ahead? In other words, let's make this all about you. At some point, you made a decision to enter one of this university's professional schools, places with high bars for learning and for leadership. That choice says something about you, your press for action or influence in a sector or a system or a problem, a choice to apply your energy and talent to face out to the world. There's something enticing from which you draw energy when pressing into a problem instead of observing it. Perhaps it's the experience of action and reaction, the serve and volley of acting on the world and responding to what it returns to you, some sense of vitality. Your choice also creates an identity, a shape and form for engaging the world. Soon, many of you are likely to assert, I am a nurse, a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a planner, an accountant, a banker. A declaration of self and a frame for the relationship you form with the world. In your time here, we hope to cultivate two forms of learning. One oriented to a knowledge base, principles of accounting or human learning, provisions of constitutional law, the facts of anatomy and physiology, methods of quantitative analysis, or the laws of thermodynamics. I suspect that type of learning was at least familiar. Get the textbook, acquire the facts, reproduce them on tests. It's the kind of learning that leads to test scores and grades that you need to get into good schools, and you're really good at it. But recall, Webster's definition includes a period of practical preparation, a second form of learning, in the skills needed to interpret and act in the streams of interests and aims flowing around real problems, in real settings, in real systems. I suspect that the intriguing opportunities that entice you lie in a land of ambiguity, uncertainty, and risk. Mastering this terrain is why professionals are also entrepreneurs and creatives, drawing on a synthesis of experience, knowledge, attunement, and improvisation. Fostering these skills, barely detectable or predictably reproduced, makes your learning a unique form of education. And frankly, higher education is only starting to elevate and explore this alchemy. Your success in this situated form of learning will distinguish your capacity to influence and lead, and the key skills are located in relationships. Here I quote and paraphrase John Cacioppo, a University of Chicago neuroscientist who writes, quote, "As we enter the third millennia of higher education, consider that facts and technology alone cannot elevate humanity. Relationships are not the antithesis of rationality, but an essential ingredient for and an overwhelming obstacle to optimizing human potential. Graduates should leave not only able to think and build, but also with a heightened awareness to monitor one's own and others' emotions, and to use that information to the benefit of all." So maybe it won't be whether you know the latest facts, which you will get from Google anyway, but rather how you build relationships, enroll stakeholders, establish mutual aims, and act. Those skills will set the shape and slope of your professional pathways. This relational nature of learning was described by the Russian psychologist Lev Vygotsky as the zone of proximal development. They learn the facts. For persons, organizations, or societies, this concept refers to that entity's emergent capacity to master a complex challenge, defending an alleged murderer, turning a profit during a recession, teaching any seventh grader, caring for an aggressive patient, or managing a struggling nonprofit. The zone is the difference in accomplishment when facing that challenge alone or when working with a skilled teacher, mentor, coach, or leader. Vygotsky reminds us of this truth. Performance is always embedded in relationships. There are no truly solo acts. Rather, learning is what happens when potential is activated by context, a precipitate of the chemistry of challenge and support. Too much challenge and too little support, you're overwhelmed and retreat. Too much support, too little challenge, you're not interested and so don't engage. But with the right supports, achievement can soar beyond the imaginable. Let me offer an example. Jeff Bulington is a chess teacher hired to live and work in a rural Mississippi county that fits the stereotype of nowhere. One street light, lots of tough times, and few reasons to think aspirationally. That was particularly true for the kids enrolled in a school system regularly on the list of failures. Bulington started teaching chess in the elementary school to kids who had never even seen chess played. From the incongruity and challenge of teaching and learning chess in rural Mississippi emerged curiosity and connection, taking form in a new and entirely unanticipated level of performance when the kids dominated in winning the Mississippi State Championship. Then amazingly, the team upped the ante, entering nationals, most leaving town for the first time to face 1,500 of the country's best players for 7 rounds over 3 days. Think of that challenge. Then they lost 30 of the first 32 games. Bulington observed, quote, "They're learning they have to struggle at a different level than ever before," close quote. Rather than fold, the players found resolve and focus around the Bulington mantra, "Let your opponent show you how they'd like to lose." And with their self-worth on the line, they trusted their coach and found resources in a relationship. And 18 months after their very first exposure to chess, the Franklin County 5th and 6th grade teams placed in the nation's top 10. That's learning situated in relationship, with the dynamics of challenge and support, exquisitely titrated and choreographed by a mentor, a coach, a leader. I venture that your most meaningful learning experiences organized around challenges that made you wonder if you were up to it, and an experience of working with someone or some resource of relationship that literally created some new level of performance or knowledge in which you could take pride. You leave here as both learner and leader. So how will you reconcile roles that seem apparently incongruous? In our research on classroom teaching, a leadership role that Malcolm Gladwell compares to that of an NFL quarterback, effectiveness is anchored not in knowledge or technical skills, but in attention to one's own behavior and experience, while also tuning to the subtle, nuanced, momentary cues of learners, awareness of self and other. I believe the skills we often prize in the roles of learner and leader, collaboration, problem solving, creativity, persistence, are actually phenotypes of more fundamental qualities, of attention, awareness, empathy, and perspective. Your cultivation of these sensibilities will determine success in learning and leading in your craft, and all are embedded in relationships. So if I offer any advice today, your first order of business as learner and leader is to take responsibility for your own zone of proximal development and assemble a support team of mentors and guides. Find your Jeff Bulington. Don't make that an accident. In May 2017, you crossed the graduation threshold at a worrisome time. Unsettling because the anchors informing responses to the adaptive ambiguities of this epoch in human history, globalization, equity, justice, and difference, climate, health, economic and social stability, and perhaps even the nature of truth, are unmoored and untethered. We float, navigating without compass or North Star. Such challenges will not be addressed by knowledge alone. Knowledge can describe disease but will not create health. Mapping climate change and its causes will not create resilient cities. The wonders of technology make life easier for some and displace millions of others. And decades of an education system that focused on teaching facts didn't close the achievement gap. Failure to design around problems in situated, relational, and systemic form too often lead to wasted human potential and political isolation. And the limitations of knowledge seem proportional to the glut of information available. What good does it do that we can Google any fact? The psychologist Carol Dweck describes two distinct mental frames shaping learners' and leaders' choices in the faces of such daunting challenges. A deficit mindset triggers actions as a fixer. It equates challenges with a lack of resources. Stakeholders are passive participants, and solutions are determined by external forces. Whereas a growth mindset triggers actions as a facilitator. It assumes the presence of sufficient assets and interested stakeholders, with leaders as learners, creating conditions in which assets are identified, signaled, and mobilized. In a growth mindset, solving a problem is the polar opposite of fixing it. Rather, it is a restoration to health, such as using the body's immune system to fight cancer, or allowing disenfranchised youth to invent their own education, or revitalizing marginalized communities through self-organized planning. When leaders focus on assets, the power is transformative. It creates chess champions. In this sense, leaders are actually educators, from the Latin root educe, meaning, quote, to bring out or develop something latent or potential. Let's return for a moment to Mississippi. After winning, one dad described the kids realizing, wow, we are good. He reflected, quote, having the realization of their own potential was a beautiful moment, end quote. Bulington described it this way, quote, people got it wrong. Kids have been underestimated or written off for reasons that are false, end quote. And one third grader reflected, quote, I feel like chess could take us anywhere, but it's not about where it takes us, it's about how far it takes us, end quote. These words describe the transformative power unleashed when learning and leading intersect. Declarations of value and recognitions of worth and hope. As leaders, to elicit potential, we must cultivate awareness, recognize and engage assets where, how, and with whom we live and work. As we do this within ourselves, in our workplaces and communities, we create resilience, open-mindedness, empathy, and respect. So what qualities will you need in this world of commoditized knowledge, rising divisiveness, and ambiguity, where as a professional, you own responsibility for results, and as a citizen, have a responsibility to others? How will you respond when the stakes rise while resources wane? Where is your compass? In a set of professional ethics, in a religious creed, in a set of cultural norms, or in values formed from the convergence of awareness of self, other, and community? This institution was founded in part as an experiment in human development, in the education of young adults. For the first time in higher education, religion did not play a guiding role, and students were offered a broadening curriculum and a wider view of the world. This project was a conscious untethering of the enterprise of fostering human progress from the foundations around which it had been anchored for hundreds of years. Without a religious core, guideposts were found in the confluence of self and community, a form of relationship. As influencers, you will engage a world demanding answers and action to daunting challenges. In this crucible, you establish your agenda and set your anchors. I hope you take from here not only knowledge acquired and reproduced, but also an authentic experience of mentorship and learning situated in relationship, of the importance of self-awareness and honesty, and the bedrock values of open-mindedness, empathy, and trust. If this was your journey these past few years, then the rest will take care of itself. The power of the experiences we share here was made real to me at a recent reunion with students I taught almost 20 years ago. For me, the energy and flow connecting past and present was palpable, sourced from the intimacy, creativity, and honor of participating in someone's life journey. I was reminded that there is nothing so gratifying and humbling as this process of co-creation that we call education. So graduates, thank you for joining us for our time, for your openness to what we have offered, for what you have contributed to one another, to this place, and for what you will be in the world. My congratulations, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, Dean Pianta. The Chair of the University of Virginia Alumni Association Board of Managers.
First, congratulations to the class of 2017. Since your degrees will soon be conferred, on behalf of the Alumni Association of the University of Virginia, it is my privilege and great honor to welcome you to our ranks. With that welcome, I also ask that you consider the role that the Alumni Association will play in your post-graduation life journey. Each of you will leave grounds today with tremendous memories. You have lifelong friendships. You remember singing the good old song in Scott Stadium, our honor system, and our cultural landmarks, the corner, the beautiful rotunda, and this wonderful lawn. but please allow me to add one more, and that's Alumni Hall, the white building on Emmett Street, which I promise you will become your forever home in Charlottesville. Some of you will immediately gravitate to the many offerings that the Alumni Association provides. I'm certain we'll see you next fall at the Alumni Association's Young Alumni Weekend, where last year a record 3,500 young alumni came back, and I'm sure the class of 2017 will contribute to besting that number. You will happily attend your 5-year, 10-year, and 20-year Alumni Association-sponsored class reunions, and you will smartly utilize the Alumni Association's Alumni Career Services to help plan your career or help you find your dream job. But some of you will leave Charlottesville this week. You'll go off to your next city, begin work and life, and before you know it, years will have passed without you having either the chance or maybe even the inclination to check back with your alma mater. Regardless of which one of these two paths you take, please know that your Alumni Association will be here waiting for you always. Think of the Alumni Association as the voice of alumni and the home for alumni. We keep you informed of what's happening here on the grounds and serve as a repository for your thoughts on important issues. We are your forever home here in Charlottesville, whether we see you every year or whether decades pass before we see you again. Your Alumni Association will always greet you with open arms and a hearty wahoo-wah. So please make Alumni Hall your first stop on reunions, your starting point to improve your career skills, and your advisor many years from now when your own kids consider attending the University of Virginia. Today you graduate, but your relationship with the University of Virginia is just beginning. I invite you, our newest alumni, to use Alumni Hall as your voice and your home at every stage of your life. Congratulations on your accomplishments and best wishes for your future.
The President of the University.
Thank you, Mr. Jarvis. The university is fortunate to have so many loyal alumni who are dedicated to their alma mater. Those of you who graduate today have benefited from their generosity in very tangible ways. Because of the generosity of alumni, parents, and friends who make gifts to the university, we have wonderful new buildings such as Bavaro Hall, Rice Hall, Lacey Hall, the Emily Kurrick Clinical Cancer Center, the Battle Building, and many others. We also have wonderful programs such as the Data Science Institute, the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy, and the Cavalier Marching Band. Loyal donors have helped to make all of these possible in recent years, and you yourselves have joined this tradition even before you have taken your degree. In this year's class gift campaign, the undergraduate fourth-year class achieved a participation rate of 53%. The School of Medicine achieved a participation rate of 87%. The School of Law achieved a participation rate of 90%. The Darden School achieved a participation rate of 96%. And the undergraduate class of the Baton School achieved a 100% participation rate. With these gifts, you have strengthened the university in significant ways. Thank you for your generosity. And now I want to share a few observations about today's graduating students. There have been profiles of the students that have appeared on the university website and in the Cavalier Daily, and I encourage you to look at those. They highlight students working in areas as diverse as architecture, business, commerce, education, engineering, law, and medicine. Their stories are remarkable, and I encourage you to read them. But every student here has a story of hard work and achievement, and we celebrate all of your stories. There is one group of undergraduates who worked especially hard to complete their degrees early. 26 students here earned their baccalaureate degrees in just 3 years, and one student in the Curry School did so in only 2 years. These students are wearing special orange stoles, and I would like to ask them to stand at this time. I congratulate you on your achievement, and I welcome you to the Order of the Orange Stole. Some of our 2017 graduates have a particular distinction. More than 400 of the students graduating this weekend are the first in their family to graduate from college. We salute their commitment to education and their diligence in earning their degrees. This graduating class has lived and learned at a truly global university. Nearly 1,100 of this weekend's graduating students came to UVA from another country, bringing with them an international perspective and enriching life for everyone. And many of our students represented UVA in the world beyond our grounds. 32% of this weekend's graduating students participated in some form of education or research abroad. Because of their commitment to learning and excellence in their fields, today's graduating students are prepared to provide vision and leadership at every level of their careers and in whatever community they find themselves. All of today's degree candidates are listed in your program, including those who completed the requirements of their degrees in December or last August. Today, we will award 1,480 baccalaureate degrees, 449 first professional degrees, 1,693 graduate degrees, including 1,525 master's degrees, 16 education specialist degrees, 152 PhDs, 16 Doctor of Education degrees, and 19 Doctor of Nursing Practice degrees. And now, under the authority vested in the general faculty and by it delegated to me, I will award the several degrees. The deans of the university will present the candidates for degrees. Immediately after these exercises, schools and department graduation ceremonies will take place around the grounds. The locations are in your finals program.
The Executive Vice President and Provost of the University.
I call upon the Dean of the School of Medicine to present the candidates for the degrees.
The candidates for the degree of the Doctor of Medicine will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as the Dean of the School of Medicine, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Medicine.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Medicine with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging. I charge you to use your training to heal the sick, sustain the well, and protect the welfare of the young, the old, and all who seek your care and counsel.
The Doctors of Medicine will please be seated.
I call upon the Dean of the School of Law to present the candidates for the degrees.
The candidates for the degree of Master of Laws will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Law, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Laws.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Laws with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your advanced knowledge of the law in pursuit of justice and the betterment of humankind.
The Masters of Laws will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Law, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Juris Doctor.
I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to preserve individual liberties, freedom, and justice through the process of law.
The Juris Doctors will please be seated.
I call upon the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science to present the candidates for degrees.
Candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Engineering, please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Engineering, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Engineering and Applied Science.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Engineering and Applied Science with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging. I charge you to pursue discoveries and inventions for the betterment of humankind, to work on the frontiers of applied knowledge, and to communicate to the next generation the excitement of science.
The Doctors of Philosophy and Engineering and Applied Science will please be seated. Candidates for master's degrees in engineering will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Engineering, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for master's degrees in engineering and applied science.
I confer upon you the master's degree in Engineering and Applied Science with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to pursue rigorous research that advances modern technology and sustains human life.
The Masters of Engineering and Applied Science, please be seated. Candidates for bachelor's degrees in engineering will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Engineering, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for bachelor's degrees in engineering and applied science.
I confer upon you the bachelor's degree in engineering and applied science with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your knowledge and skills to transform the principles of science and mathematics into new and useful technologies.
Bachelor's in engineering, please be seated.
I call upon the Dean of the Curry School of Education to present the candidates for degrees.
The candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy in Education, Doctor of Education, or Education Specialist will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the Curry School of Education, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy in Education, Doctor of Education, or Education Specialist.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Education, Doctor of Education, or Education Specialist, with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I charge you to pursue research that will support teachers' work and advance students' learning in the nation's schools and colleges and universities.
The Doctors of Philosophy in Education, Doctors of Education, and Education Specialists will please be seated. The degree of Master of Education or Master of Teaching will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the Curry School of Education, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Education or Master of Teaching.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Education or Master of Teaching with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to be creative in stimulating learning and in conveying to your students the responsibilities that belong to educated citizens in a free nation.
The Masters of Education and Masters of Teaching will please be seated. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Education will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the Curry School of Education, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Education.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Education with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I charge you to use your knowledge, skills, and compassion to enrich the lives of the people whom you will serve in your professions.
The Bachelors of Science in Education will please be seated.
I call upon the Dean of the Darden Graduate School of Business Administration to present the candidates for degrees.
The candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Business Administration will please rise and remain standing. Madame la Présidente, as Dean of the Darden Graduate School of Business Administration, I have the honor to present this candidate who has fulfilled the requirements for a degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Business Administration.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Business Administration with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging. I urge you to use your knowledge and research skills to promote innovation, progress, and equity in business.
The Doctor of Philosophy in Business Administration will please be seated. Candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration will please rise and remain standing. Madame la Présidente, as Dean of the Darden Graduate School of Business Administration, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Business Administration.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Business Administration with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and challenge you to bring innovation, the entrepreneurial spirit, and ethical integrity to your leadership in practical affairs in this nation and in the world.
The Masters of Business Administration will please be seated.
I call upon the Dean of the School of Architecture to present the candidates for degrees.
The candidates for the degrees of Master of Architectural History, Architecture, Landscape Architecture, or Urban and Environmental Planning will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Architecture, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Architectural History, Architecture, Landscape Architecture, or Urban and Environmental Planning.
I confer upon you the appropriate master's degree with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to shape rich and humane environments that acknowledge the heritage of the past while anticipating the needs of the future.
The Masters of Architectural History, Architecture, Landscape Architecture, and Urban and Environmental Planning will please be seated. The candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Architectural History, Bachelor of Science in Architecture, or Bachelor of Urban and Environmental Planning will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Architecture, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Architectural History, Bachelor of Science in Architecture, or Bachelor of Urban and Environmental Planning.
I confer upon you the appropriate bachelor's degree with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your knowledge to preserve and shape environments that inform and magnify the quality of life itself.
The Bachelors of Architectural History, Bachelors of Science in Architecture, and the Bachelors of Urban and Environmental Planning will please be seated.
I call upon the Dean of the School of Nursing to present the candidates for degrees.
So the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Nursing, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Nursing Practice with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I charge you to apply your specialized knowledge and abilities to the work of enhancing the profession of nursing as you enter practice or as you teach aspiring nurses.
The Doctors of Nursing Practice will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Nursing, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing.
I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Nursing with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I challenge you to pursue research that will shape the future of healthcare.
The Doctors of Philosophy in Nursing will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Nursing will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Nursing, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Science in Nursing.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Nursing with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I charge you to use your advanced knowledge and skills to promote the health and well-being of the individuals, families, and communities you serve.
The Masters of Science in Nursing will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Nursing, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I challenge you to promote human health and to strive to improve the lives of persons in need.
The Bachelors of Science in Nursing will please be seated.
I call upon the Dean of the McIntire School of Commerce to present the candidates for degrees.
The candidates for the degrees of Master of Science in Accounting, Commerce, and the Management of Information Technology will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the McIntire School of Commerce, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Science in Accounting, Commerce, or the Management of Information Technology.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Science in Accounting, Commerce, or Management of Information Technology with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging. I encourage you to use your business knowledge and decision-making skills to help organizations create value and use their resources responsibly for the benefit of citizens throughout the world.
The Masters of Science in Accounting, Commerce, and the Management of Information Technology will please be seated. The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Commerce will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the McIntire School of Commerce, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Commerce.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Commerce with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and I encourage you to create value and improve the world through your business skills, ever aware of the implications of business decisions on society and our environment.
The Bachelors of Science in Commerce will please be seated.
I call upon the Dean of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies to present the candidates for degrees.
The candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging. I commend your commitment to lifelong learning, and I challenge you to continue in that spirit as you further your education, pursue your career, and strive to reach other goals.
The Bachelors of Interdisciplinary Studies will please be seated.
I call upon the Dean of the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy to present the candidates for degrees.
Candidates for the degree of Master of Public Policy, please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Master of Public Policy.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Public Policy with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your new knowledge and skills to provide strong leadership in the careers and communities you enter, and to craft wise, morally sound, and well-informed roadmaps for our republic and the greater global community.
Masters of Public Policy, please be seated. Candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Public Policy and Leadership, please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Dean of the Frank Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy, I have the honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Public Policy and Leadership.
I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Public Policy and Leadership with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and encourage you to use what you have learned here to serve our nation and the world through your work in government, education, nonprofit, and private sectors.
Bachelors of Arts in Public Policy and Leadership, please be seated.
I call upon the Director of the Data Science Institute to present the candidates for degrees.
The candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Data Science will please rise and remain standing. Madam President, as Director of the Data Science Institute, I have the honor to present these candidates who fulfill the requirements for the degree of Master of Science in Data Science.
I confer upon you the degree of Master of Science with all the rights and privileges thereunto belonging, and charge you to use your knowledge and skills to continue exploring, analyzing, and safeguarding data, to make discoveries to advance the world, while treating data ethically and with regard to the privacy rights of individuals.
The Masters of Science in Data Science will please be seated.
One more round of applause for everyone who graduated. And now a few closing words. Each graduate receives a booklet of Thomas Jefferson's writings about the three creations for which he wished to be remembered: the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, the American Declaration of Independence, and the University of Virginia. A gift from the Alumni Association, this booklet is meant to be a memento of these years when you have encountered a complex figure who believed education has the power to improve lives. In the course of your lives, you will belong to other communities, other cultures. Each will have its own values and customs. I hope you will take with you as you leave here the values that have distinguished you as students at the University of Virginia. Most of us experience times in our lives when it might be easiest to follow the path of self-interest, to keep quiet when truth is obscured, to avoid participating in the fray, to cling to comfortable ideas even when presented with challenging facts. In these times, you may be tempted to compromise your values, to argue the easy point and not the valid point, to follow blindly rather than to lead boldly. At these times, I urge you to reread this booklet. It describes Jefferson's singular creations, but it should also lead you to recall that each of them came as a result of perseverance, sacrifice, and deep commitment to enduring values during the turmoil of the nation's founding. As you go forward today, cultivate in yourselves the tenacity to hold elected officials and yourselves as well to strict account. Engage in the political process that builds durable and systematic change when change is due. Work as educated citizens to protect freedom, your own personal freedom, and the freedom of those who depend upon you. Contribute to the work that is essential to sustaining a democracy. And in all that you do, commit yourself and your fortunes to the common good. These are our fondest hopes for you. Godspeed, and best wishes as you go.
Scheduled to begin at 1 o'clock or sooner, please proceed directly to your ceremony venue. And now, at last, graduates and alums and all, let's stand and join in singing the good old song.
Thank you.